Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Mattyspeaks. And in today's episode, I decided to invite my lovely guest, my lovely big sister, to talk to us, to talk to us on how to deal with insecurities, especially with our bodies. So I realized that some ladies have issues with their body, either being fat or being too thin or being too tall or being too short. So how do we approach those situations? How do we deal with them? And in today's video, we'll be covering everything. So she would be introducing herself. So kindly do that, please.
Hi guys, my name is Oyindamola Natasha Abaron, and I guess that's like the important part that you need to know. Today we're going to be talking about insecurities, especially when it comes to the female body.
Yeah.
Now, number one, insecurity can happen to anybody. Gender, no, this is a non-gender situation, right? It can happen to a guy, it can happen to a girl, it can happen to a toddler. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily uh being feminine particular. Let me, let me use that word. Insecurities. Hmm. Trust me, I have a whole lot of stories to talk about when it comes to like insecurities. But I would say the most important one, let me use myself, right, as a point of reference in this conversation. I'm someone that struggled with insecurities for a very, very long time.
Mm.
Um, I remember when I was growing up, right? I used to feel like the ugliest in my class.
Wow.
Like because when they are looking for like that when you're doing inter sport, all those beauty pageant people that always
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never called like they've never thought about it like, oh, let's actually use this girl. They're always using
Yeah.
like the light skinned people,
Yeah.
all those fair girls, they're always one that they're always using for like beauty pageants. So I naturally just felt like being dark was a problem.
Hmm.
Like probably that's the reason why nobody has
And for
ever
the
followed
record, black is beautiful. Shall we?
right? So I'm always like, why don't they call me? I remember I was in primary four and they always put me like the manly sports. Like I'm always like in the 1,000 meter race, relay race. You would never use me for, or I'll be maybe the man holding the flyer. Do you
Oh
understand all
my
those things?
god.
So they never put me like really like a princess. And you know when we're growing up, there's this standard of beauty that the world or the society actually
Yes.
has, and they gave us Barbie,
Thank you.
right?
Sophia
And
the
so
first.
and so Barbie was like the ideal beauty for a girl.
Yeah,
And so when I
yeah.
looked at Barbie, I'm always like, I don't have long hair. In fact, I had Barry in my on my front hair chopped. I don't have that. I didn't have, I was not, my boobs didn't grow as fast as my mates. I
Mm.
was just like that person that was just there. And so because of that, I focused more on my books. Like it became like a thing for me, like, okay, if I'm not good in the
Yeah,
other
at
one,
least
let
you'll be
me
good
look
at
for
one
another thing
thing.
that
You
will
have
be
a
good.
selling
Do you
point.
understand? And so my mom was never just like, I'm always like the neatest, the this, the that, but when they're calling like, oh, cutest baby, or they was them
Mm,
even had all those cutest competitions in school, and they didn't even receive my application. Like I felt a certain way, but then I didn't understand why I was feeling what I was feeling.
mm.
And so he transitioned like that into secondary school. So the first time someone actually told me I was beautiful, oh,
Oh my god.
hmm, I lost it. I went home and it came from a guy. So
Oh,
you cannot understand why it is important for parents to actually
yeah, oh,
always tell their
yeah,
children that you are
yes,
beautiful. You are.
yeah.
There's one woman I see on social media that does that with her black girls. Those girls are so cute.
Mm,
Like not beauty standard cute, but they
mm.
are cute because they realize their worth at that very
Exactly,
young age, right?
exactly.
So I was like, oh my god, he told me I'm beautiful. Yes, finally,
Hmm.
a guy told me I'm fine. Like I've never heard that before from anybody. And another instance came when I was on a bike, and this woman was driving in a car, and all my friends are light skinned, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
All my friends are light skinned. I'm usually like the darkest of the dark. So I was on bike with my friend when we were in university, and this woman was driving like it was like traffic, that you're stuck with traffic. And this woman was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, you're so beautiful." And my friend was like, "Oh, thank you." I never even imagined it could be me that she was talking to. And my friend was like, "Thank you very much, man." She was like, "No, I'm talking to her.
Why?
Do not ever change your skin color for anybody."
Oh
I'm
my
like,
god.
"Thank
And you know
you."
you're very dark.
Like I'm like, "Thank you so much." Like I was so emotional
I
about it.
know,
Like, oh
right?
my god, how is this even happening
I
to
know,
me? Someone like
right?
me. And so, because of that, you have to build this certain wall up, like, oh,
Mm.
so that nobody actually hurts you because you're not like
Mm.
the princess Disney person.
Yeah, yeah.
So I became a very, very mean person that was very authoritative. Like, I think, do you
Vicious.
understand? Like, I became like this
Yeah.
vicious person. Like, it was more or less like my own shield from you getting
Yeah.
to know me that deep.
Yeah.
And I remember, the other time I was talking to you about how many people I've dated.
Yes. For the record, she dated 27. I'm sorry, 27 men.
Yes. And one of them was actually one of them I somehow I was going through his phone, and this is someone that was in a relationship with, right? I was going through his phone and he was chatting with his ex. And his ex was like, oh my god, where did you find this ugly girl?
Oh my god.
And I think he posted me on something. There was like this BlackBerry thing. And he was like, LOL, oh stop it. Not say, oh my god, no, she's beautiful. Do you understand? So that was what ended that relationship for me. Because I'm like,
He felt like he believed it.
like he actually believed that I was actually
Yeah.
ugly. So what are you doing with me? Like, what am I doing here? And so that kind of like killed the relationship. Even till now, right? Every single time my husband looks at me and I'm like, me, I don't have flat stomach. I don't have kinikaya. My husband will be
You're
like,
the plus size.
do you understand? My husband has never been that person that is like, oh my god, if you get bigger than this, I'm going
Yeah, I'm
to.
going to have
Do
an
you
issue
understand?
with it.
And he was always
Yeah.
like, babe, my husband compliments my eyes more than anybody I've ever
Oh
seen.
my
Like, he's always
god.
like, babe, do you know you have bulky eyes? I'm like, how is that even a good thing? People used to call me Oju Yobo. You're looking at me and you're telling me I have bulky eyes, and you're saying it's
Hmm.
actually something that is pretty. That is like
Hmm.
out of this world.
I'm sorry to cut you short on this. Like, I remember my mom always complimenting my teeth and my
Yeah.
feet. She's always like, "Oh, you have the prettiest feet ever." Until today, I try as much as possible to wear
Yeah.
shoes that enhance that beauty. Like, I would like to wear open toe shoes or something like that, just to show the world that I have a beautiful feet.
Yeah.
Not because I knew it at that time, but because of what my mom told me. And we should take note of that. Like, having to speak life into
Yeah.
ourselves is something we shouldn't take for granted.
Yeah,
Please
exactly.
continue.
So, you know, things like that sometimes can be demoralizing, like the situation I had with that
Yeah,
guy. It can be demoralizing, and you go back and you think, God, why me? Why am I like this?
exactly.
But one thing that I'm always grateful for is I have never, ever thought about changing my skin color. Like, it has never crossed my
Yeah.
mind. Even when I was at the worst of the worst when it comes to like body insecurity,
Hmm.
it has never crossed my mind to say, oh, because of that now I
Yeah.
want to go and buy bleaching cream, or I want to
Hmm.
change
Even
my
the
skin
days where
complexion. Do you
bleaching
understand?
cream was like a big deal.
It has
Like, it
never
was a
crossed
big
my mind.
deal at
Like,
that
it was
time.
just not my thing. And I was like, now, if you don't
Yeah,
like me,
that's your
good for you.
problem.
So I think all those things actually always accumulate to society standards. Society just
Hmm.
has this standard of how a pretty girl should look like.
An idea of how
Yes,
it's.
like they're like, oh, you should be 6 feet tall,
Hmm.
you should have boobs. Growing up, I've always had bum bum, but I never ever realized it. Right?
Oh.
I never when I was in primary school, right? Bum bum was a bad thing,
Hmm.
right? So people like us that had bum bum, they were always like, go to the back, yeah, read there, only the la, that kind of thing. And I hated the fact that I had bum bum. Like, I literally was starving myself at some points when I was in secondary school to be skinny, because I'm like, maybe if I'm skinny, the bum bum will not show and it will like disappear.
Hmm.
Until after, was it not like after YA, I think it was YA or NECO, one of those exams. I went to a girls' only school, so that did not even help with that, because we were seeing girls that were like perfect. Like, everybody had school mothers and school this one. Nobody has ever come to meet me. There's always the fine girls that are
Yeah.
always having school mothers and all this. And
Hmm.
I'm always like on my own until the day one of the finest girls in school came to meet me and she was like, "Would you be my?" I was embarrassed once, by the way, in secondary school about this thing. There was this senior I really, really liked, and I wrote a letter to her. Like, I really, really liked her, and that I would not mind if she was my school. Like, that's how desperate I was to
Hmm.
actually fit in, to like
Mm,
fit
yeah.
in. And so I wrote a letter to her, and my letter was read in front of the whole
Oh my
school
God.
during press day. And what's happening with on Thursdays? All those press something
Yeah.
press club. I hated myself. Like, to make it worse, it was at that time my father chose to bad me scolding.
Oh my God.
God,
Oh my
I can remember it so clearly. You know, when you had to hone your skodo, like I was pushed into a situation whereby I had to now hone it myself, like all of you, like yes, so
Yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah,
So and I'm grateful for that experience
yeah,
because sometimes God puts us in certain
yeah.
situations, not because it is comfortable for us, but because He wants to bring you to actually see your true worth. It was at
Yeah.
that point I knew that okay, yes, if I've gone through what's the worst thing that can happen to a girl in this life
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
Kodo. Like they should
Hmm.
bad use Kodo. If I can be at that point. And that's the reason why, you know, all those times I'm always cutting my hair. I'm always telling
Hmm.
you that. There was a time that
Hmm.
cutting my hair like this, I'll be like, hey God, you want to cut my hair? Just kill me
Hmm.
instead. And as I was growing older, I realized that my hair is not what makes me beautiful. It's not the bump. It's not the boobs. It's not the being skinny or being
Hmm.
fat. But when I speak and
Hmm.
people see that, oh, this girl knows what she's saying. I used to tell people and all those boys that I'm not see, the best thing that you have is your voice,
Hmm.
right? I can stand anywhere and speak,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I know people will listen to me.
Yeah, I think like to add to what you're saying, like having to own who you are is like another gift.
Yeah,
Like having to like see yourself and be like, this is who I am. I'm
yeah.
going to sell myself no matter what. And people will actually start buying that. What you present to the world is what people buy. So
Trust
if
me,
you don't present yourself to be the confident, I love my body the way it is. People would actually envy you for being fat.
right?
Like people come at me for being so slim. And I'm like, that's the same way people go to fat people and be like, oh, you're too fat. What exactly do you expect from us? What do
What do
you
you
want me
want?
to do? What do you want?
When I was skinny, you know, if you notice before, when people show me pictures of when I was much more
Yeah.
skinny, I used to be a certain way like, oh God, why can't I go back to this body?
Can you imagine?
But I realized that my life itself it's not at the same position it was even
Mm,
3 4 years ago.
mm,
Why am I choosing to like you see when you are in tune with the Holy Spirit sometimes,
yeah.
it gives you certain revelations that in your mind you're like, all these people they are just chit chatting in your
Mm,
ear.
mm,
Why would you want to go back to what God delivered you from intentionally?
mm,
3 4 years ago, I had a skinny body, but I had serious issues. I had addictions I
mm,
was dealing with. I had, do you understand? Like, I had so many things I was trying to, like, get rid of. Now, I'm not, God not delivered you from that thing. You're not saying, oh God, I wish I was back in 4 years ago.
can you
God is just,
imagine?
they just like, look at the person you just saved from
Mm,
all these things.
mm,
They don't even appreciate it. But
mm.
in your present situation, God, skinny, fat, dark, light skinned,
Yeah.
no hair, bald head, burnt face, whatever. I
Mm,
am grateful because breath
mm.
alone. I mean, I took a journey to the hospital. I have been on oxygen. I am asthmatic. So it makes me appreciate this breath more. Because
Yeah.
anytime I'm going through not being able to breathe,
Yeah.
ordinary kata, if you see, you only have kata,
Yeah.
then you can imagine how it is for someone not to breathe. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh God, let me just go, breathe. And you
Yeah.
are actually struggling to breathe. That's when you understand that people that are paying for
Mm,
oxygen, the
mm.
one is just kata, in a few days it will go.
It will
But you will
go. You
just
can even use
experience
medicine and
you
the
literally just
next
experience
minute.
somebody's pain
Hmm.
in 3 days. Some people walk around with oxygen tanks up and down
Yeah.
just because they want to breathe. Do you think at that point the person is looking at, oh my God, my dress? People are going to say, I'm scared.
Yeah.
No, all that person wants is God. Let me just leave.
And that is where appreciation comes in. We tend not to like appreciate the little things that we have. Like I said earlier, like I have a small body. And sometimes I actually look at people with curvy shapes and I'm like, oh, they are so curvy. I'm not curvy. Oh, they are tall. I'm not tall. And then recently, I began to make more research about my body type, and then I realized that I'm a rectangle shaped body, and everything looks good on me. I love my body. Like I am
See?
obsessed with it. And if eventually I grow, I get to be on the bigger size, I would still love me because that doesn't define who I
Yeah,
am.
it really
Jesus
doesn't.
Christ loved me and he made me beautifully and wonderfully.
Wonderfully. Yeah.
So that alone is something to be appreciative about.
Yes, 100%.
Honestly.
It's always a good thing. Plus, insecurities or even getting bigger. Now, I'm trying to focus on people that are actually bigger.
Hmm.
You see, people outside, they are something else. You see, when people look at me and say, oh my God, you're not fat, though. In my head, you don't know what I'm dealing with.
Hmm.
I actually have a medical condition that slows. See, if I decide not to eat from today to next month, I might not drop more than maybe 1 kg.
Wow.
Because it's not, my mom said I should stop saying it's mine. It is the devil's PCOS, right? And the way PCOS works is you have increased weight, especially around the belly. You're dealing with like acne. You have like, it's an hormone imbalance. This one, you can't, there's no drug. You can only manage it. You can't cure it. It's not something that is curable. And so when people say, like, oh my, you're not very big, oh, you're not very fat. Someone even asks me, are you pregnant? And I'm like, hey, God, somebody is mocking. Is mocking this thing. But I know it's not me. It's not mine. Right? And, having to transition, this is something I've had for almost 10 years. Managing it, even to this point. Like, I know people that, all those women that have facial hair, people look at them and they tag them certain names, right? These people are dealing with a certain type of sickness you can never understand. I mean, we need to really sit down and even have a topic on PCOS itself because so many women go through it.
And men don't understand. They just see the lady with beards and then they're like, oh my God, she has beards, red flag. Like, I am very hairy. I've met a guy that doesn't like the fact that I am hairy. Like, I'm like, excuse me, please just walk away. I have hair all over my body and I know how people come at me and be like, oh, you're so hairy. Mostly to come and be like, oh, you're so hairy, not, oh, you're so hairy. Like, I'm like, they really don't need to.
Do you know the funny thing about that thing? Is that, because of all these insecurities that women go through, the beauty world started creating different products that even makes you feel much more insecure. Their own aim is actually to cure insecurity, but they don't know that it's even causing more harm than good. Because you now go on social media, right? You see this girl with perfect body and you're still hating yourself.
Yeah.
This person goes to the back of their wardrobe, pulls off the bum, pulls off the waist trainer, pulls everything, lies there naked,
and then reality dawns.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And you're somewhere hating yourself for that, for just seeing someone's picture. I mean, especially the young girls now, right? The biggest advice I can give anybody, or the biggest thing that changed my perspective, there was one thing nobody could take away from me. And that's my confidence, number one. Number two, I started to love me. I started to dress well.
Yeah.
And so people focused more on, oh my God, this girl, she's a badass dresser, than she's dark skinned, she's light skinned, she's this. I always go out of the box, right? So people could notice me more. Someone invited me to model for one brand like that when I was like about to enter university. I'm like, huh? Model.
I think you got it all wrong.
Like, I'm not the model person now. And I was still skinny then. I was already skinny then. So, trying to maintain the old fat stomach. Like this. And my husband is always saying one thing, right? He said, when I met you, my husband remembers what I was wearing, like the exact thing I was wearing,
That's
right?
So cute.
And he was like, you and that okay, the way he asked it was, it was like that your short black skirt that you were wearing that day. Who are you trying to? Do you understand? Like all those kind of questions in my mind, I'm like, I was, people noticed my dressing first and they're like, oh my God, this girl has skin. I started making sure that the one that God gave me,
you would maintain it,
taking care of it.
Exactly.
Like I was buying products. So when I tell people I don't have spots on my body, people are like, it's not possible. I'm like, bro, I don't have spots on my body.
You better believe it.
Whether you believe it or whether you not believe it or, and some guys can be very sweet. They're like, yeah, let me see. I'm like, don't worry, my husband has seen it already.
Do you know?
My husband can testify that I don't have spots on my body.
Do you know the funny story is that with the fact that you had confidence growing up, it was something I struggled with a whole lot of times. Like, I hated being at the forefront. I hated who I was, like who I was, because I love who I am. I am obsessed with who I am right now because I'm loving the growth. But at that time, I did not like my body. I did not like my face. I did not like anything about me. I just felt there was nothing good about me. And having to grow and learn and meet people and actually find Christ, it actually helped me a whole lot. Then I realized my worth. I began to learn more. This growth journey didn't start until 4 years ago, because I struggled with depression growing up, and I remembered that I couldn't take my life. I wanted to, but I could not. Then I said to myself, okay, if I can't take my life, then I will just be a living dead. I'm not going to associate with anybody. I'm not going to talk to anybody. And da 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 da. And I carried that whole idea all through secondary school and even out of secondary school. And I struggled with a lot of things. So self-confidence, like having confidence, actually, it's like a gift you could ever give yourself.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to like be instant. It's something you can develop. Like she started investing more in her look, and that is what I'm actually doing now. Because once you go out there and then people tend to like look at you and be like, oh, you're beautiful, even
Sorry,
if you are,
yeah. Please note, I don't say go and buy bonbon. When I say invest in your look, I did not mention that too.
No,
Because somebody would have said, oh, they said you should invest in your look.
We've
Let me go and
covered
buy
that.
bonbon.
We've
I
covered
didn't say
that.
that too.
I
Like
think-
loving yourself naturally.
Yeah, and
I'm not, and I'm not saying go and buy brightening kinikon or go and buy one
I think we've
caramel
covered that
lotion.
earlier, like accepting who you are. So all this just makes it easier. So once you've accepted that, oh, I'm very fat, I'm very big, but then I can actually package myself and actually present myself to the world. Like putting your best foot forward at any point in time is a gift, honestly. So you can start from the outside to the inside. So okay, I look good today. I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh dang, I'm beautiful. You get, and then you go out and people actually commend you on that.
Like you of all people know that
Yeah,
I'm very, when it comes to self-love can never
I know. So guys, with everything said, everything done, we all just want to implore you all, you the viewers, that just accepting yourself, loving yourself, knowing yourself. You know, what other word is there?
There's no there,
just self-appreciation. Basically, there's really nothing anyone can do for you. There's nothing you can do about it. You've already been made in this way, but then how do you present it to the world is what matters. Like, how do you sell yourself, like I mentioned earlier? How do you present yourself? Always put your best foot forward. And this is the wrap of this episode on insecurity
Part one.
part one. Yeah, part one. We'll be coming again talking about spirituality and also
spiritual insecurities.
spiritual insecurities, part of my grammatical blah 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 blah. Spiritual insecurities and also academical work and other aspects of life. And if you want us to buttress more on a particular insecurity that we've not mentioned, please hit the comment section and let us know about it, so we'll be able to talk about it in the next video. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Mrs. Oyindamola Abanom.
I'm still not used to people calling me this is.
I know, right? You're 2 years in married life. 2 years. Get used to it already. Thank you so much.
It's very mindful.
And please don't forget to subscribe. Hit the comment section if you have any contribution or dislikes or likes. Share if you find educating.
Don't you dare dislike.
It's true, don't. No.
I will find you.
So please kindly hit the subscribe button, and most importantly, please share to a friend, a sister, a church member, a colleague if you find it educating or inspirational. And once again, this is Matty Speaks. Until next time. Bye guys.